Good boy. Getting a dog or a cat to do a circle is easy, but getting a horse to do a circle is a whole other thing. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through how to teach your horse to circle at liberty. No ropes, no reins, just you and the horse. The ultimate goal here is to be able to walk with my horse without anything and cue them to circle, and they can just circle back around and come right back to me. This is my first time teaching a horse to do this, but I found that you basically do this in 3 different steps, and so I'm going to walk you through each of these steps today. The first place I personally started with this is, first of all, getting my horse to move their shoulders away when I walked towards them or put pressure towards them. If it makes you feel more comfortable to put a halter on your horse to do this, that's okay. I'm just going to do it like this though. So what you're going to start out doing is simply just walking towards your horse's head to where they step away from you with their front hoof. So I'm going to do it again and show you all. And notice I'm putting my hands up to the horse's head, acting as a wall and kind of pushing them away as I step towards them. So that kind of communicates to them they need to step away as I do that. And he steps. Good boy. What you want to look for as you continue to do this is I want to see that my horse's front legs are crossing, the horse's front legs are crossing one in front of the other when I ask them to step away. So you'll see he crosses that one over, crosses that one over, good boy. Before you even attempt this trick, what you want to be able to do is walk towards your horse confidently and have them move away from you, and it's all a smooth motion rather than you feel like you're pushing your horse or you're having to lean up and shove your horse away, because you just want it to be really smooth to where, you know, I'm not really making contact, I'm just kind of directing them away. Moving the shoulders away is an exercise I cover in a lot of my videos, but if your horse hasn't done this before, you may go to walk towards their head and they just stand there and you can't get them to move. So real quick, I'm just going to put his halter on and show y'all how you can get started with this. And it's better to get started with a halter on with groundwork before you try to do it Liberty style. So if you have your halter on and you want to start teaching your horse to move their shoulders away, it's basically the same concept, but I'm really going to focus. I'm going to take my hand up and put it towards my horse's eye, and that's really going to tell my horse to move away from me. So if you can see, I can make kind of a pushing motion and he automatically just moves his head away from me. So that's just him respecting that boundary I'm placing there. And so to get your horse to move, you can start there, but like I mentioned, also walking in towards the horse. So you're kind of using your body language to communicate, okay, it's time to step away. So I'll push and walk and see he will step out of my way. So that's where you can start with that. As soon as the horse takes a step initially, you can reward because that was the right thing, and then you can do it again. Moving the shoulders was the first exercise. The second exercise is going to be teaching your horse to yield their hind end towards you. So what that means is I want them to be able to step their hind end towards me when I ask them to. First of all, I just want to show y'all what this looks like, and then we'll talk about how you teach it to your horse. So when I reach over here and tap Tucker's opposite hip, I can get him to step his hind end towards me like that. Good boy. So I want to be able to signal to my horse and have them step towards me. Come on. Good boy. Come on. Just by tapping on that opposite hip. The easiest place to start when it comes to teaching your horse to yield their hind end towards you is to see if they know how to yield their hind end away from you. And so this is as simple as going up, walking up to their hip and pressing your thumb into their side and seeing if they will step away. Because believe it or not, a lot of horses don't do that. You need to make sure they can do that before you ask them to yield towards you. Here's how you can teach your horse how to move their hind end away from you when you ask. So what I'm going to do, I like to stand at the horse's withers to do this, and I'm initially going to start by just picking up on my lead rope and bringing my hand out and back so my horse has to bring their head back. So as I do that with the horse's head, I'm going to walk towards the horse's hind end, and I can create motion in that direction to get them to step away. So by bringing their head back and walking that way, it's almost like a natural motion for them to swing their hind end away. So this is what that looks like. I'm going to bring my horse's head back, walk towards the hind end, and you see the horse moves that hind end away. Good boy. I'll show y'all one more time. Once again, bringing my hand out and back and walking towards the hind end. And my horse is moving the hind end away. Once your horse is comfortable with that to where I can just go and signal for them to move their hind end, Then you're ready to start teaching them to yield towards you. As I mentioned, when you get your horse to yield their hind end towards you, all I really do is take my crop and tap on the opposite hip. This is also a harder concept for the horse to understand because I just worked on teaching them to step away from me, and now I'm teaching them to step towards me. So it's kind of the opposite thing. I'm going to show you an exercise that I have found is really helpful when it comes to teaching this. Believe it or not, but the easiest place I find to teach this is by putting yourself on a mounting block. And the reason for this is basically you just give your horse something to work around, and that makes it easier for them to learn to swing their hind end whichever way you want it to go, rather than me just standing in an open space and them having to figure it out. So to start with, I have Tucker here at the mounting block. I'll first just ask him to step his hind end away just by turning his head and kind of waving my crop at his hind end. Come on. Step, step, good boy. Good boy. This is also great for teaching your horse to stand at the mounting block too, just FYI. So now his bottom is kind of pointed in the opposite direction to me, and I want to get him to step back towards the mounting block as if I was going to get on him. So all I'm going to do, take my lunge whip, put it to the opposite hip, and be sure to desensitize your horse to this before you do it. Then I'll just lightly tap, 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 and I'll just hold this tap until he'll step that hind end. Good boy. And then I'll release. So as soon as he does that, I'll just pat him, reward him. I even have a treat. There we go. Good boy. So once again, I'll show you all again. I'll first get him to back up and step away from the mounting block. To now, I'm going to take my lunge whip and ask him to step. And now he already knows what I want. I can just hover this over here and maybe go up and down, but I don't even have to touch him. Come on. One more step. One more step. Good boy. So if initially your horse doesn't want to step over, what you can do is just hold that tap consistently. If they really start fighting you and pulling away, you can increase your pressure to a point, but really you're just going to be consistent tap, 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 tapping until they take this step, and then you're going to release. So before you attempt the circle trick, you just want to make sure your horse is confident with yielding their hind end towards you. Largely to the point where you can get a pretty good amount of movement out of them. So there he can go in a circle, just like that. So you want to make sure your horse is responsive enough to do that before you go into this trick. The third step of this trick is really making sure your horse has the draw that's talked about in Liberty. And this is basically where your horse wants to come to you, and they're going to move towards you and follow you as you move. So this is a little bit more tricky to teach a horse. Some horses just naturally do want to come to you, while others may be a little bit more standoffish. So this is just something that you build up over time with building a relationship with your horse, but also just doing exercises with them. One particular exercise that I found is really helpful for this is just getting your horse to turn towards you. And so if you've been working with getting the horse to move their hind end away, this is a great place to start, because if I can get him to move his hind end away and then to where he can see me, and then I step back and he comes towards me, that's a great place to start, because he's learning the process of coming towards me as I move away. So I'll do it again. Come here. Sometimes I can just call him. Good boy. Initially with starting this, I find it easier to get a horse to turn and come to you rather than getting them to just walk to you if you stand in front of them. For whatever reason, this just seems a little bit more appeasing to them. Tucker, come here. Come on. Good boy. Good boy. So once you're able to do all three of these exercises, it's time to put it together and teach your horse how to circle. I'm just going to show y'all exactly where I started with this when it came to actually piecing it together and go from there. It initially took me some trial and error to figure it out, but this is what I found worked. So to start off with, I got the horse to step their hind end away from me to where they're kind of facing away from me. And then I went to the hind end and got him to step around. Once he got to here, I stepped back and drew him back to me. So you see there, we did kind of a really slow, fumbly circle, but that's where I started with this. I'll show y'all again. So initially what I did, you'll see I'm just gonna use my crop to get him to step away from me by just bringing my crop and closing it around his face. And then I bring my crop, get him to step, pull myself back to draw him back towards me. Good boy. Good boy. Let's do it in full speed to see what it actually looks like. All right? Can you circle for me? Circle. Good boy. Come on. Good boy. Good boy. Real quick, I want to tell y'all about some really cool boots that I got. If you're like me, I always have a really hard time finding good winter paddock boots that will keep my feet both warm and dry. And so my friends at Hisea sent me these boots and I tried them out and they are awesome. They always keep my feet warm, but they're also super comfortable and they also look good. They have different patterns you can choose for your boots. So they gave me a 20% off code to share with you all. If you click the link in the description to their website and use code EQUINE, that will get you 20% off. So once again, check out that link, check out these boots. If you're looking for more fun tricks to teach your horse, I have a video all about easy tricks that are really simple to teach your horse. And so I'll put the link in the description to that video. If you found this video helpful, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more weekly horse videos.